G'day, legends. Welcome to the Pot Noodle. I'm your host, Jared. Joining me is Liam. How you going, Liam?
Well, I've had a great weekend. This wasn't it, but I have had a great weekend before.
So, what
I'm,
shirt are
I'm
you
wearing
wearing?
the Man City shirt just because it's important sometimes to have somebody you can feel superior to.
I was looking at it going, what's with the old Man City shirt? Yep, that's what I thought. So I had to ask you a question. So
Uh,
always good fun to see what shirt there is. Need to bring back the after what is it, January 2nd, you have to bring back the Green Rangers shirt again. The
oh
Power
God.
Rangers shirt just for fun, I reckon.
Well, it is
But
green,
anyway,
white, and gold. So I.
yeah, good fun. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate it. I know it's getting to that funny time of the year where it's hard to make time for podcasts and tune in and stuff like that. So we do appreciate all the support we get from each and every one of you. So appreciate it. Smell the glove. G'day mongrels. G'day you flaming galah. How the bloody hell are ya? There you go. Super Australian for you. But we'll yeah, a little bit to talk about tonight. Could be a bit of an interesting pod. Could be over short. Could be a nice short one. Could be a long one. Depends how much we rant. We were gonna have the debut of Liam's fellow communist Dan on the pot noodle, moving over from a Thursday sesh, but he's too busy looking after his kids and you know playing with their helping them out with some stomach problems. So poor bastard, and we'll get you on next time, mate. So yeah, Liam,
Hmm.
0-0 against Dundee United. I
Yeah.
put the podcast name as yeah, bit of an interesting one there. So yeah, I just thought it was a bit of a odd game, all things considered. Like I will talk about the starting lineups and everything. I have no idea what my phone's just trying to do there. It's trying to play the replay video of it. So yeah, it looks like there was a bit of a virus, bit of illness coming through the club during the week. So off the back of the derby with a few injuries and then some sickness there, we had a really odd looking starting lineup. So, Liam, what
Well,
was your thoughts when you saw the starting lineup? Because I was like, oh, great, this isn't going to be good. And the result pretty much was what I thought we'd probably end up with.
I mean, a sickness bug is one thing, but it's on the players to make sure their vaccines are up to date before they come into contact with Rangers players. So that's on them.
Ouch.
um, no, it was just a really flat game. I think it just after like 20 minutes, I was just like, this is going to be nothing each. It's just one of those days where Dundee United are not being broken down. Celtic don't look like they could step up. If we'd had, just say for example, if we'd had like Kuhn on the bench, you might think, well, he could come on and give us that wee spark or whatever that might just lift us up and get us the win. But I didn't really see it was obviously weakened team and a weakened bench, and I just didn't see where the inspiration was going to come from, and well, it didn't.
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit that way. But the other thing as well, Liam, like looking at it was when you've got your back line of Ralston, Welsh, Scales, and Taylor, you've got you've got that there. You've got Schmeichel behind him. You've got Kelmack in front of him, right? You
Mm,
think, all right, that where are we going to be got at? Probably through Welsh's area. That's what I was thinking.
yeah.
Now, I actually thought he was somewhat decent, all things considered. Now, just don't get it wrong. It was like what an 11 o'clock at night kickoff here, and I had the head wobbles through pretty much the whole game. But from what I saw from him, he didn't play as bad as he has the last few games when he's been in the team. But then maybe that's because, and this is what I was thinking about today, is maybe he didn't look as bad to me watching the game live because the rest of the team played a lower standard of play. And
Mm,
the thing that frustrated me was you looking at that and you thought, okay, we may leak some goals, but then looking at the forward half of the field, and realistically, you've got Kyogo, you've got Maeda, you've got McCowan, you've got Kelmac, you've got Rio. Other than Yang coming in for Kun, we're pretty much at full strength.
Aye, I mean, certainly in the forward parts, we should have had enough to get the job done. So that's where you can talk about injuries, you can talk about illness, whatever. But it was an under par performance by the players that were on the park. And there's no getting away for that. But we were due one. We were due
Yeah,
one. We kind of got away with it when we got the late winner at Aberdeen. Won the previous game on penalties.
it's been
After a
coming.
couple, yeah, it's you know, if this is the blip, and then we get back to normal next week, and then that carries us through New Year and another game against the Huns, I'll be quite happy with that.
Yeah, so yeah, I just think it's been coming, this sort of result where we haven't been at our best for a while now. But yeah, as you're saying, like if this is the blip and we get on with it, you got a few players injured, you got a few players like Jamesy Forrest out for 6 weeks. He probably would have started instead of Yang. So you're not at your second right winger, you're at your third choice option there, Yang. During the game, you said about the options for subs there, Liam.
Hmm.
The only option we really had when you look at the bench on the wings was, all right, move Maeda over to the right, bring Palmer on, take Yang off. That was
Hmm.
pretty much your only option you had. Or go to a 4-4-2, which is what we did towards the end there,
Yeah.
which was interesting to see. Like the two of them together, like Ida and Kyogo, we've been wanting to see those two play together up front. And yeah, I honestly don't remember what it actually looked like because I was barely awake at that point in time. So I have to rewatch it if I can be asked. So yeah, it was a bit of an interesting one, all things considered there. But yeah, we had a bit of it's just an odd game overall. But what was your thoughts on the first half overall, Liam?
That amaretto coffee that I had while I was watching it was lovely. That's about the only memory I have, to be quite honest. We didn't really. I mean, we had a couple of shots from distance, but I don't think we even managed a shot on target in the first half, did we? Um,
The
it
thing is,
was
Liam, on
hard
that,
watch.
if I can jump
Yeah,
in
sure.
quickly, there was two attempts. I think Hatate had one and Luke had the other,
Mm,
where they shot them from the top of the box, and a ball width one side of the post, so it doesn't count as a shot on target. If it was
mm,
so basically that's how close these shots were.
yeah.
But I'm going to give credit to Jim Goodwin the way he set his team up. They knew the conditions were shocking, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the conditions, both teams had to play in it, so they played to their strengths. They knuckled down, and then they tried to hit us in the counter.
Mm. No, I mean, history has shown you know, that's how you play against Celtic. If you want, if you stop us from doing the high press, that is how you're going to get results. And you know, it's not good to watch, but it's effective, and it's what Dundee United clearly set out to do. And you're right, you do have to give Jim Goodwin some credit for that because he knew exactly what he had to do, had a game plan, and it worked.
Yep, 100%. And I'm just going to bring up some comments here. So, E. O'Connor saying, the lineup was Colts B. We used to play in the cup games.
Mm.
Pretty much was second string in certain areas. Doc is saying, don't forget that Goodwin is anti-football against the big two. They were set up
Aye.
to stop us playing, and the wind and under par didn't help. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of factors here. But as Stephen Healy saying, it's all right, a dip in form, they'll be back. 100% we will. Like, we're too good
Yep.
not to.
Hmm. Aye. Aye. And let's not forget, last week was a really hard game. Not just the 120 minutes of it, but also there was a few boots went in, it was high tension throughout the whole game, and then of course you've got the mental drain of a penalty shootout at the end of it. So that is going to take a toll. Granted, going out and getting pished at the darts on Monday night probably didn't help, but I think they earned it.
There's also, Liam, like you're saying that, it's kind of like the Champions League, where we play a Champions League game and then we just have that awful game off the back of a Champions League game in the league where it's kind of like that much mental focus, physical like application and efforts have gone into it that then to come back it's like, and breathe. but you
Aye.
suddenly go and you think, okay, what you did on Wednesday or Tuesday was it like 100% of everything you could give, and now you're trying to give 100%, but you're only able to get to 80.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this seemed like as well. Now, O'Connor is saying how much sand did they put down on that pitch? Yeah, there was quite a bit going around there.
So somebody was selling sand to the Arabs, is what he's telling us.
Pretty much. But he's on fire tonight, everyone. And just with this, Doc, where you're saying don't give Goodwin any credit for the anti-football. I'm not giving credit to anti-football. I'm saying the way they kept their shape. That's what I'm saying. Like the players stuck to their discipline. It's what we used to do in Europe. And we have been doing in Europe this season, other than Dortmund, where we go out there and we keep our shape defensively and then we play off the back of that. That's what I was talking about. So, second half was pretty much the same as the first half, wasn't it?
We were a bit more assertive in attack, but no, we could have played for 3 hours and not scored. It was just one of those days.
Yeah. It's I don't really. Normally we do player focus later on, but that's the hard part, Liam, because who do we talk about? I've got a couple of players I could talk about, but that's about it. So I'm going to just leave the talk about that game there for a sec, and we'll just roll into a couple of other things before we get into the player focus. But
Sure.
to what extent, Liam, do you think the scoreline was down to the weather conditions because it was a bit windy? And what extent do you think it was more off the cup final or the injuries and sickness? Or do you think it was a combination of everything was just a perfect storm? Pun intended because of the weather.
Right, I would say if I'm going to break it down into percentages, I would say about 20% weather affected our performance, maybe about 30% the injuries, whatever. But I think the majority, well, 50%, is we just did not play as well as we can. Because if we play to our best, even with the players we had on the pitch, we should still win 2 or 3-0 against a team like Dundee United, regardless of the conditions.
Yep.
So we didn't hit our levels. And Brendan will know that, and he'll have that hammered into the players by the next time we play, so I wouldn't worry too much.
Yep, 100%. I'm not too worried. I think that's something that I was going to talk about later on when we get into the upcoming matches. But yeah, I think there's going to be, once we get some players back, we get some fitness back into the squad where sickness is gone and all that sort of stuff, we'll be fine. But yeah, I just think it was a perfect storm. Awful bit of a situation there. And yeah, it just didn't look like ourselves. And I'm just glad it wasn't a 2 a.m. kickoff. So 2 to 4 a.m. for us over here to dish up that steaming pile of crap. Like, I can handle it staying up to 11 and what then kickoff is. So yeah, it was a bit of an interesting one, but I'll just bring up some comments here, Liam, and then we'll crack on. So, smell the glove. We need to get Kyogo scoring goals again. What are your thoughts on that? He looks like he's having a bit of a rough trot this season, the last month in particular.
Um, he looks a wee bit out of sorts, doesn't he? I don't know if it's maybe a confidence thing or maybe he's carrying an injury, but he definitely doesn't look 100%. I mean, there's nothing in the press over here saying there's any issues with him or whatever, but something's not right with wee Kyogo, and hopefully he's okay soon.
You know what I'm thinking? It's going to sound really weird. I think it's a little bit of frustration. The amount of times he's making those runs that he's made the last 3 years for us, and the ball's not coming to him. He's constantly running and getting in these positions. Like in the game last night, there was a clear chance where he's made a run, and all we had to do was just square it across to him, and there's no one at the back post, and we held on to the ball, and then they tackled. Just make the pass. Start feeding him the ball. He's your striker. Get him the ball. You know what he can do. First time, he'll put in the net. So I think he's not getting the service. He's making the runs, and I honestly think it's a bit of frustration. And then because of that frustration, and he hasn't scored in a while, then that little bit of self-doubt and that little bit of hesitancy creeps in. So if you put all that together, that's where I think his issues are coming from. I don't think it's the system because he was up and about early on in the piece in the exact same system. So I just think it's lack of service at the moment above all else.
Would you drop him for a game or two?
Depends what's coming up. So realistically, if we look at our next 3 games, Liam, right? So
Mm.
Motherwell, St Johnson, the Huns.
Mm.
I think both of these games coming up are a good opportunity for him to, if he can get one goal in the first half, say against Motherwell,
Mm.
his confidence will pick back up, and then he could have 2 or 3, and then he's off to the races again, and he's hitting peak form by that derby.
Yeah.
So you kind of playing with fire. If you're going to drop him, then you run the risk of him coming out, Ida coming in, then Kyogo not just being frustrated that he's not getting the service and he's not scoring, but then also, and now I've been dropped. I'm not appreciated going
Mm.
into a derby. So it's kind of that catch-22. For me, I'd keep him in. If I was
Mm.
going to rest him, I'd give him the Motherwell game, the next game off, and then I'd bring him in for the St Johnson game. But I don't know.
I would. I mean, I wouldn't drop him. I wouldn't drop him. I don't think that's like you say. I don't think that's going to help. Excuse me. But what I would do is maybe bench him just for the next game, like you say, but bring him on in the second half and give him a good half hour, 40 minutes, and then start him in the St Johnson game because I think, or is it Motherwell, whichever one we play second,
Yeah, St
because
Johnson.
aye, because you want to treat that as a dress rehearsal for the Huns game. So we want as close to the starting lineup for the Huns game, playing that St Johnson game, just as a final tune up.
Yeah, it's also, as I said before, Liam, I don't think with our 2 strikers, with Ida and Kyogo, it's not really like we have a starting striker and we have a bench striker, like a backup. It's
Mm.
1A, 1B, in my opinion. And Brendan's tend to shown that during the year. It's like, okay, do we need to get the big guy on for the bruises? Start Ida. Is it a game where we're going to be able to play and get the ball on the floor and look for runs in behind? Then we start Kyogo.
Mm.
This game against Dundee United, once you saw that wind, I actually thought Ida should have started
Yeah.
because that's the sort of game where you want to play a bit more direct in that sort of situation. So if we're going to muck around with it, that's probably where we should have done it. But all things considered, yeah, if you if you go 60 minutes for Ida against Motherwell, 30 minutes for Kyogo, then do it the other way around against St Johnson, unless he's on 2 goals going for a hat trick at that point, keep him on, and then build him back up again because it's going to happen.
Yeah. Aye. I mean, Kyogo will be back. It's just a question of when he's going to be back to his best because we know he's too good a player to go too long without dominating. And you know what? See if he has a shocker for the next two, then gets a hat trick against the Huns. I'd be quite happy with that. So you know.
Let me Kyogo bauble out for yous.
Yeah,
There we
in
go.
Kyogo we trust.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm just thinking with the rest of the game there, Liam. So I normally ask the question, do you think the referee made much of an impact on the game? Now, the reason I'm saying that, normally it's talking about a VAR situation or some
Mm,
stupid calls or a card or whatever, right?
mm.
What I wrote next to this, the reason I want to know, do you think the ref had much of an impact on the game was because he had more of the ball in our attacking half than Yang did in the first half. He just kept getting in the way and the ball kept going to him. So
Yeah.
his positioning on the pitch was actually better than Yang's. And
Mm.
yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, I keep defending Yang, but I think it's getting harder and harder to stick up for the guy. You know, it's a frustrating one. He will probably go somewhere else and be a really good player, but I just don't think it's going to be at Celtic. And I'm thinking the same about Palma now, to be honest. Um,
I do want to use that. I'll jump something in from a bit later on, and then we can, because we're not going to have player focus. So last thing I'd say is who's your man of the match quickly, and then we can jump back onto what you were saying there.
man of the match. I would probably say maybe Ralston. I thought he had a solid enough game, and he put over that one really good cross that nearly led to a goal. So yeah.
I would say Casper just because there was a couple of decent saves where he was doing nothing for 20 minutes and then suddenly, bang, had to make something happen. So,
Yeah.
other than that's the sort of game where, you can get suddenly hit or blindsided and something happens. So, for me, yeah, I'll give Casper his flowers on that one.
Aye.
So, what you were saying about the about Yang and Palmer. So, what I was going to say is what yesterday's game showed was how limited our squad depth looked. Right, so it looked pretty bad when we're down to the bare bones with a few guys out with injuries, like Trusty's out injured, Jamesy's out injured, and then you got guys who are crook. There's like 4 or 5 guys out, right? So when you look at all, say if we go through it, no, if we go through our full strength Champions League team, okay, let's just do this for the
Okay.
task of it, Liam. So
Right.
our back line, no Trusty,
Yeah.
no CCV, no Johnson.
Mm.
Bernardo and Engels were on the bench. I think they must have been carrying something and not 100% if they came on as late as they did.
Yeah.
And then up front, no Kun, and
Mm.
even no Jamesy as backup. So realistically, you're 6 players out.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, you're already down, and then you put Jamesy as your main backup on the right wing off the bench. There's 7 players out, and then you just have a look at a bunch of others. So all things considered, we had 2 young guys come in from the youth team sitting on the bench. It was good to see that pathway's there, and Brendan's willing to bring those players up and sit them on the bench and get them around the squad and everything. But I think it showed there was a bit of limited squad depth there. We've spoken about we got to get another left winger to back up Maeda. We got to get someone who could play third striker. So for me, it'd be bringing another guy to challenge Maeda on the left, so Maeda can be that third striker and
Mm.
play that in bits and pieces. That's ideally what I'd do. And then once you get Kun and Jamesy back, you're fine. We've got enough depth for the rest of the season on the right. But all things considered, our centre backs, I think there's a few players who realistically shouldn't be getting a game for Celtic at the moment.
Mm.
And the only reason some of them are still at the club is because you've got to keep a certain amount for Europe, i.e., Stephen Welsh. We
Yeah.
spoke on Thursday about Dane Murray potentially coming back in, taking his spot so Welsh can go on loan somewhere. And the talk is there's a club in Belgium looking to loan him for the rest of the season. So that could be ideal. Go the Jack Hendry path sort of thing. So if you're going to bring Dane Murray back, he's been absolutely killing it at Queen's Park. Comes in, be your fourth string or your fifth string centre back, perfect. But
Yeah.
who played their way out of the club, in your opinion, and yesterday, Liam? Would it be Yang and Palmer?
Yang and Palmer. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Welsh didn't do anything wrong, but he didn't do anything to make me think he's going to displace anybody above him either. So a player of his age shouldn't be happy being fourth choice centre half. So he's going to have to look to go elsewhere.
Yeah, the thing with Welsh, Liam, it's one of them things, as we've said in the past, and as you just said, he should be looking elsewhere. He should be wanting to play. And I, it's nothing against him because he comes in and he does his best.
Mm.
But his best isn't good enough for us. The levels that we want to be at and what we need, he's not it. So I'd rather him at being 24, 25 years old, or whatever, go out, make a career, go to Italy. That'd be a perfect move for him. A lot of Scottish players have gone to Italy, done well, and got a further move. Go over there, play. The pace of the game there might suit him better. And then you bring
Yeah.
in a Dane Murray, who's what, 21, something like that? 2021, and you have him in the squad. He's 5 years younger. He can play the same role. He's homegrown. So he ticks all the same boxes. And it's better for Welsh's long term career. And it opens up that pathway. So, yeah, realistically, I just think Yang and Palmer need to go.
Yeah. I think with Welsh as well, if you look at how Liam Scales emerged last season, um, we had him written off. At start of last season, if Aberdeen had paid an extra 100 grand, they would probably have got him, right? And yet he's now an indispensable part of the squad. He stepped up, right? the guy has deficiencies as a player. We all know that, but he has really stepped up his level to show that he's worthy of being in the Celtic squad. Welsh hasn't. He just hasn't. The reality is, like you say, can't fault his effort, can't fault his commitment to the cause, but there just hasn't been that incremental leveling up that you need to see from young players as they develop.
If I can sing a song for a minute, if I could turn back time, I think that was the song from the movie
Mm.
Sliding Doors, Liam. And the reason
Mm.
I'm saying that is because what you're talking about there, 100 grand extra would have got Scales up the road to Aberdeen.
Yeah.
At the same time, Stephen Welsh was being earmarked to be that starter while we were going through some stuff, right? With some
Yeah.
injuries. Welsh then gets hurt. Scales has to go into the team. We had no one else.
Yeah.
And what happened? He became one of our most indispensable centre backs, and he was one of the first names on the team sheet week in, week out last season.
Yeah.
So it's just funny how it works. Like, you can be right there and thinking, oh, this guy's gone, he's not good enough, and then the right situation happens at the right time, and it just made his career. Now, I look at it and go, we have Trusty, Scales, and Carter Vickers. If those three are starting, any two of those three are starting in a Champions League game right now, I'm not even worried. I'm happy with those three as the two starters. I actually think Scales is capable at that level. He may not be the best player, but he is serviceable.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say the way I look at Scales in that role is the exact same way I looked at Mikkel Lustig towards the end of his time at Celtic at right back. Not the greatest option when you compare to who's on the other wing bombing up and down, which is KT, but serviceable, does his job, and gives you a 7 out of 10, an 8 out of 10 consistently week in, week out. That's where I see Scales at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I think that's a pretty accurate summation.
So Heavy Vibes said, hope that's Wang and Palmer's last game for us. Yeah, Wang, nice. Smell the glove when I was saying about player focus. Player focus. Everyone was shite, sorted. Boom, love
Yep.
it. Donny Boy was saying we always drop points in December. Still a big gap between us and second. Yeah, we're 9 points clear.
Christ,
So,
is that Philip Clement? The
and
Huns have
then
eyes.
Stephen saying Rangers were lucky to beat Dundee at home. They're going to trip up soon.
Yeah.
And Donny Boy was saying we tried to pass United off the park. We ended up overpassing and killing moves.
Aye, there was a wee bit of over elaborate play in the build up, definitely.
John Clement is saying, John Clements. Sorry, I won't say Clement because I don't want to offend you. We just lost a subscriber. Sorry.
Oh no. Sorry, come back. Please come back.
Welsh had an okay game, but it really frustrates me every time he receives a pass. He puts his foot on the ball and stops, slows everything down. Think Kyogo needs a break. Eat her in for the next two.
Yeah.
Donny Boy, how far was Cerny or Cherney offside on Saturday, guys? I'll honestly tell you, Donny Boy, I don't know. Didn't watch it. Don't want to become dumber by, listening to that driveller's commentary when they're playing a game.
I'll be modest and say it was probably a cock length. In my case, anyway. I don't know what you guys think.
There we go. So yeah, just scrolling through some comments here. Donny Boy saying I'd play Eder for the next three, including the Huns. Kyogo bullied in the final a bit. Smell the glove. The ref kept getting in the way. Vanessa, spot on. We've been poor since the RB Leipzig game. Yeah, we hit these absolute lofty standards, and then we haven't been able to get anywhere close to it since then.
Aye.
Doc was saying 5 to 6 players out, playing a low block, and the wind made it a doubly difficult. Yep.
We may well look back on it as a point earned at the end of the season as opposed to 2 points lost. Yeah.
Exactly, Liam. It's one of these games where at the end of the day, you'll think about it and you'll be like, oh yeah, we had that draw in December, late December, but it all
There
adds
is
up.
some there's something to be said as well for the Huns getting a wee bit of false optimism before we play them again. Because it happens every time. They just never learn.
There was a comment early on in the pod. I'm trying to find it here. Where was it? Here we go. Stephen Healy. 3 weeks ago, Rangers were out of the league and getting pumped in the final, according to the Scottish press. Now Rangers are back. There you go. Exactly what you're saying there, Liam. So if we just keep scrolling through, looking at a few more comments. Smell the gloves and still a lot of deadwood to get rid of over the next 2 windows. Palmer, Yang, Naroski, Lager, Bernabe, Quan, Welsh, Home. You're forgetting the ultimate, mate. Tilio. Get rid of him. I don't want to wear a tiara again. Get rid.
Are we sure that Tilio is actually a real person and not just a tax dodge?
I can tell you that he actually is because my nephew met him a couple of weeks back.
Because had I not spoke to him in person, I would have said the same thing about Kobayashi.
Smell the gloves saying Palmer came on and tried for 5 minutes, realised the weather was shite, and then went into his shell. He should go to the MLS. That's what I meant. He came out of he hibernates, that guy. He doesn't like the cold. And then Donny Boy's saying, I feel sorry for Palmer. I'm not going to disrespect him. He's obviously got talent, but our game's developed a bit in terms of pace and Palmer's just too slow. And then Donny Boy responded to you, Liam.
Well, as Spider-Man said, it's my gift, it's my curse,
Pegleg Lonergan is saying, watch that mob getting dodgy decisions after their meltdown of demands.
See, that's another thing, right? Right, just to pick up on that. I am sick and tired of the authorities bending over and taking it up the jacksie every time Rangers throw a tantrum. I'm just. Can somebody just tell them you lost? Shut up. Deal with it. Stop greeting. I'm sick and tired of their constant and they never just lost. It's always some conspiracy or some bloody. I mean,
what's the saying, Liam? Always cheated, never defeated.
Comment of the week last week was about 3 hours after the game. Some Hun on follow said this all goes back to the Pope's visit in 1982.
Houston Park. There you go. Always the way. It's always about that. Bloody Catholics. I'll say that because I am one. There you go.
There's probably more Catholics in the Rangers team than the Celtic team last week.
Yep. So, yeah, it's kind of funny because the next thing I wanted to talk about, Liam, that you've got that segue for us, was Willie Collins' VAR review show says the Huns should have got a penalty. All right, discuss. Do one. That's my discuss on these. Do one. You lost. Deal with it.
No, it's just it stinks of desperation, and it's quite sad actually that their new chairman comes in, and see if you're a neutral observer, right? Which we aren't, so let's not pretend we are. But if you were, isn't it really sad that a new guy comes in and you're thinking, right, maybe finally some stability, maybe finally they'll prioritise the right things. No, first thing he gets a crayon out and writes a statement to the SFA.
Statement FC, Liam, and he's playing to the galleries. So, yeah, the guy's an absolute knob. So what I'll do, just for fun, is let's just do. We normally do our hot takes, right? We're going to do one of them a little bit later on about the next 2 games, a silly hot take, right?
Yeah, okay.
So I'll give you some thinking time for that. But what I want to do is my next question was going to be, how are you spending the Christmas and New Year period, Liam?
Mm-hmm.
And what are you hoping for like a present or whatever? What are you hoping for over the New Year period? Okay. So with that in mind, the hot take part is, What should Rangers be hoping for? What should Celtic be hoping for? What should Scottish football in general be hoping for? Let's go those three as
Oh
hot
my
takes.
god.
I'll go first if you want.
Go on, go on. Yep.
Rangers' hot take is pretty simple. They should be absolutely getting the biggest friggin' boner over any potential rumor of someone coming in to buy them because you can't keep printing monopoly money into shares over and over and over and over. It's not worth shit. So their dream is to get an actual proper investor rather than converting, loans into more shares.
Part of me actually wonders, are they going all in on the fascist fuckwittery in the hopes that Elon Musk might buy them? I mean, are they actually trying to play up to that? That it makes me wonder.
There it is.
Yep. Aye.
It's their supremacist ideology from Pegleg.
Mm-hmm.
What do we got here? Smell the Glove was saying, Hunt on Rangers radio. I know absolutely nothing about Alan Muir, but I know for a fact he doesn't support Rangers.
Oh God, they really are
Dickhead.
thick as pig shit, aren't they?
Big Dom, I'll come back with this one here before we go to, regardless of the result on Sunday, Brendan and the board were planning to strengthen in January, which is welcome. 100%.
I like the fact that Brendan himself brought that up at the conference unprompted. That was good to hear.
Yep. So, what should Celtic be wanting for Christmas, Liam?
I mean, do we want Kieran Tierney? Because that's the idea that's being floated about at the moment.
Can I say it then? I'll do something for you then.
Right.
Remember a certain cup final where a guy ran away and came to go get his doctors and then came back to get his trophy, his medal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all I want for Christmas is my 2 front teeth. Bring back Kieran. I'm not saying that's what I want, but yeah, make it happen. If that's what Brendan wants, get it happening.
Celtic could have the ultimate transfer coup. See if they New Year's Day they just announced, right, Kieran Tierney and Jota are coming back. Boom, that's it. We don't need to sign anybody else. That would be 90% of the fan base delighted, I think.
Yep. Definitely would be. So yeah, I'm just trying to add something now, Liam. So yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. That would be absolute magic if that happened.
I mean, the rumours are that Jota's current club would let him go for a nominal fee because it's not working out there, So
Jota's come out and actually said that he wants to leave. He hates it there. So come on home, son.
Aye.
Where's that bloody picture I'm looking for?
There's a lot being said about Kieran Tierney, his injuries and he's not had the best of form since he's been at Arsenal. But one thing Celtic are consistently good at is taking English Premier League players and rehabilitating them. Look at Joe Hart. Even going much further back, look at Chris Sutton, John Hartson.
Yep.
Thought they were spent forces in England, came up to us and became absolute stars.
So, how you said Jota and Tierney, if Celtic just went bang and did that, this would pretty much be every Celtic podcaster out there. Had to.
Oh.
Couldn't help it.
How did you get a photo of me using my computer, you dirty bastard?
That's for me to know and you to find out, Liam.
Oh, okay. Intriguing.
Yep, 100%, mate. You should know these things. So, there we go.
There he is. There's the man.
This is what we wanted for Christmas. And Santa not to get booed. So, there you go. We're having a laugh. So, yeah, for me, what Celtic should want for Christmas, real simple. An organised recruitment structure so that we can hit the window in January and just go whack, whack, whack. Here's the money. Give us the players. Let's get on with it. And then Scottish football in general, Liam.
A backbone. That's what I think they should be asking for Christmas, is a backbone. And, just you want somebody to just go into Ibrox and just do like the kind of a sort of Gordon Ramsay thing, just pick up the typewriter and smash it on the ground like, enough, stop it, grow up, you stupid idiot,
I want us to go in and go, you and you and you and you to them. Yeah, perfect. No, they're good fun. I think for the league it's pretty simple. All the other clubs to stay competitive against Rangers and keep taking points off them so that they all start to get higher up the ladder and make it more competitive for the split in the top six, bottom six, and for European potential qualification as well next year. So that's what I think in general. The more competitive the league is, the better overall. Yeah, I actually gave a legit answer.
No, you're right though. That is, for years and years and years, we were constantly fed the narrative that Scottish football needs a strong Rangers. No, Scottish football needs competition. It doesn't need to come from Rangers. It can come from anybody.
Yeah, 100%. I was reading what was the book? Fergie Rises, about his time at Aberdeen, and they were talking about Aberdeen and Dundee United. So the new firm versus the old firm, and I'm like, how good's this?
Yeah.
So the more teams compete, the better.
That's the thing. I was watching a documentary about the Centenary team a wee while ago, and I think it was Roy Aitken actually said that. Like, for him, like the turning point that season wasn't when they beat the Huns. It was going up to Audrey and coming away with a 1-0 win. That was, to him, that was the game that sort of put them on the path to winning the league.
Yep.
So it's interesting to think that back then, a lot of Celtic fans and players genuinely thought that Aberdeen were more dangerous than Rangers.
Fair point too.
Yeah.
When that team up there, is that the team that had Strachan in the midfield and?
That would have been a wee bit after that, but I think they would have still had some good players at that point.
Yeah. So we're just going through some comments here. Smell the glove saying the last Sevco chairman said the next 100 board members will be local businessmen, so stonecutters everywhere. Franny Weldon, thanks for tuning in. Franny, hope you're well. Time to send Yang to find his Yang. I actually reckon he'd do well on loan if you were to send him within Scotland. Like, he's good enough to play in Scotland, but he's not good enough for Celtic.
Aye, yeah.
Dermot is saying, KT, yes please, class is permanent. And anyone saying no thanks, give your head a wobble.
Well, it goes back to what I was saying about how we're good at taking players who are down on the luck,
And Smell the Glove saying, KT bringing his own 24-hour physio with him. Gaddafi Semtex, come home KT. Pegleg, Jota not going to happen. Can only dream, mate. You imagine this, okay? I'm going to set a scene for you. Celtic on January 1 just drop a video, or actually let's go January 2, so day of the game. In the lead up to the game, they drop this video, and it's just like you're hearing the crowd just chanting, Jota on the wing, Jota on the wing, starting to go. And then there's like video and there's smoke clouds, and then there's him in his double denim Bumblebee just walking down out the front of the pubs towards Celtic Park. That video, that'd be like a wrestling sort of entrance. Be some sort of absolute hype. I'm telling you what, cars will be getting flipped. People will be like absolutely going ballistic for it. It'd be great.
Yep. That would be something.
Yeah, Jota can't sign till the summer due to tax reasons. Yeah, I know.
Aye.
Johnny boy, because if we sign him now, then his tax liabilities. We don't want any of that HMRC rubbish coming around. They go Govan. They go over to Ibrox. That's where the issues are.
It's funny though. Somebody made that point a couple of weeks ago. There was another show I was listening to, and he says, that was probably one of the most important points in Celtic's history. See, when I think it was Juninho, or Alberto, one of the two, had an EBT And the chairman at the time, Brian Quinn, was just like, right, stop that right now. We are not going down that road.
Yeah, I
We
heard that
could,
as well.
we could so easily have ended up the same as the Huns, but you know, we slagged the board, whatever, but they had the common sense then to realise, like, no, this is a bad idea. Just get away from this.
Yep. And look at these comments here. McLaughlin saying, it was a shit game when you start doing chores around the house when it's on.
As I said, I'm
Yep.
glad I had my wee bottle of amaretto with me because I bloody needed it last night.
So, Liam, real simple.
Hmm.
What we're gonna do for the next couple of hours, because we're gonna have the weekend reviews going to be on in a couple of hours time, and then there's not going to be any more pods until next Monday. So what we'll do is we'll probably have a pot noodle. I believe there will be the pot noodle. I just don't know who's going to be on it yet. It might be a solo one if no one else is available. But we're just going to get on, chat about those games, and then next Thursday we're going to have the leading into the derby. There'll definitely be a Thursday session next week. So what I want to do is I want to preview our game, just have a quick chat about our game against Motherwell on Boxing Day. So that's Friday, 2 a.m. for us here. I think it'll be midnight for you in Japan. And then, yeah, we're playing. And then on Sunday, so Monday, our time, we're playing St Johnson. Both games are at Celtic Park. So, what are your general thoughts about heading into these games over the holiday period?
It's good. Two fairly comfortable home games to warm up for a derby. That's just the way you like it. I'd be. I'm quite comfortable with that. I think there are two games that we should win comfortably, and it's like I say, perfect tune-up material for another Hun scalping.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think it's, as we said early on, it's all about, we've got a bunch of the guys went to the darts, got crook, brought the flu back. It's gone through the team. So let's rotate and get everyone back to full fitness within this next week leading into the derby. But yeah, as I said, if we're going to rest Kyogo, I'd give him the Motherwell game off. We'll bring him on for the last half hour, but give Ida the start in that one. And then St Johnson's a dress rehearsal for who's going to play the Huns. Liam, what areas are you hopeful will be back to full strength for these games? For me, I hope it's the centre backs.
Aye, aye, because that's going to be very important come the New Year game. We want our two main central defenders back. Um, yeah, and I hope as well that we can kind of settle on a midfield because we do seem to be kind of swapping it in and out a bit too much lately. I hope we get a set. Like I say, whatever team starts against St Johnson is ultimately the team that I want to see at Ibrox. I think that's the as close to as we can get, hopefully.
Yeah, talking about the midfield there, Liam, what I want above all else is I want Brendan to figure out what position Engels is in his
Yeah.
system. That's the key thing in our midfield at the moment that needs addressing. Because once he knows, okay, Engels is a 6 and I'm going to play him in the 6, then, okay, I can play Kelmac as an 8 along with Bernardo and we can have those three in that dynamic. Or I can play Rio and Kelmac in the 8 and I can have Engels in the 6. Oh, okay, I want to give Engels a game off. Kelmac goes to the 6 and I can play Bernardo and Rio. Or I can play Luke and Rio. Or I can play Luke and Bernardo. Too many combinations here. Engels is a 6. But Brendan doesn't seem to believe that. He doesn't play him in that role because he's got his skipper in that role.
Mm.
So it's a bit of an awkward one for him. But that's the thing for me. If we're going to talk about our midfield, like what you were saying, get a consistent thing in there. The first thing that we need consistency is of who plays what positions. Because Engels is a 6. I was talking to some guys who follow German football. Definitely a 6. But he's getting played out of position in an 8 because of Kelmac.
I mean, in fairness, if there's one guy in the team that you move players around to accommodate it, is Calmac. But I think he's actually better when played in a more advanced position. So
Look at
I would
him when he
actually
played for.
swap him and Ingles around. I would suggest.
Look at Kelmac when he played in the 8 position for Scotland. Who played in the 6 behind him? McTominay.
Yeah.
and he looked a lot freer and was able to play. 8's his natural position. He was originally a 10. He's been playing as a 6, but he's an 8.
Mm.
In this lineup, I think that'd be the best spot for him. And then, okay, in a 4-game period, you could have Engels play the 6 twice, Calmac play the 6 once, and just rotate those guys that way. So there's options around there, but yeah, good fun.
Mm.
So I'm just going to bring up some comments here quickly. Smell the glove saying next 2 games, 6 points, no more injuries. Kirk gets a couple for confidence.
Ideally, yep.
McLaughlin saying 4 out of 5 league games are coming up at Celtic Park. Lucky 15 Voodoo saying apparently he's a 6, talking about Engels. Yep.
Mm.
Smell the Glove is saying Dazen deserves his own unique song for the unique guy he is. I think we need to try and find some Eminem song and work it in for Dazen or something like that because of the hairdo.
Aye. The trick is trying to get anything that rhymes with Maeda. That's the problem.
Yeah. And then Donny was saying give Bernardo the 6 next game, then Engels the 6 after that and see how they get on.
Not unless you were planning to play Engels in the 6 at Ibrox.
And then Smell the God saying Brendan even mentioned a month ago that about Engels being a 6. Bloody play him there. 100%. So, yeah, so with that then, what I'm going to do, Liam, is time for our silly hot take about something that will happen during these 2 games. Can be anything.
All right. Yeah, okay.
Do you want to go or do you want me to?
You go first.
Okay. My silly hot take, it's pretty simple, right? Casper Schmeichel is going to pull out a deck chair and just sit in there doing some knitting because in the St. Johnson game, the only time he's going to touch the ball is going to be when it's back past him and we're recycling it. And he's not going to have to make an actual save.
Right, okay. I'm going to predict that at some point one of the referees is going to give Celtic a penalty and then rip off a Scooby-Doo style mask to show that it was Willie Collum all along.
All right, if we want to get really silly then, fine. Yep.
Yeah.
Real silly one for me is Liam Scales will play the game wearing his Ra balaclava because why not?
And then the Green Brigade will give him a 21-gun salute when he scores the winner.
There you go. Yep. Well, he'll score a header and then he'll put his balaclava on as a celebration in front of the Green Brigade. There it is, Liam.
There we go. That would work.
So what's your expected starting lineup for the next match against Motherwell on Boxing Day, Liam? Take a punt. Who knows how fit everyone's going to be.
Casper, obviously. I'm going to be optimistic and say I think CCV will be back. Maybe Trusty not quite yet. So I think Trusty on the bench, CCV and Scales in central defence, Taylor and hopefully Johnson at the fullbacks. Midfield, Kalmack, Hatate and Bernardo. And then up front, again, hopefully Kuhn, Kyogo, Dyson.
For me, it will be Casper in goals, Voye, Scales, CCV, the Bricky, middle of the park, Engels in the 6. Kozos is absolutely waxing on about it. It has to happen. Engels in the 6, Kalmack in the 8, Luke in the other 8. Then up front, we'll go Kyogo. We have the right wing will be Kun. The left wing will be Palmer. We're going to give Dazen a game off.
Oh,
bit of a weird one for you. And score prediction for both games. I'm going 3-0 in both.
3-0 Motherwell, 4-0 St Johnson.
Happy days. So let's just see if there's any more comments here to bring up. Smell the Glass saying Trusty might struggle to displace Scales now. Donny Boy is saying could still revert to Kelmac for 6 for the Huns and then experiment in the bit in games after. Why not? So, yeah, overall, I think what we'll do, Liam, is we'll start to wrap it up. Before we do, we need to give a shout out to this person right here who spent over £4,000 on Pot Noodle memorabilia and even used the pots for Christmas tree decorations.
Take a bow, son. You absolute legend.
Absolute legend. Thanks for supporting our podcast and sending us $4,000, even though I'm just making that up now. It's good to have a super fan, so thank you, sir.
Yes.
All right, Liam. So what we'll do is we'll go to our final thought.
Okay. Final thought. Okay. First of all, Christmas shopping, I would say be careful what you order, because if you're ordering something from abroad, whatever, check the spelling. Just check that you've spelled the right thing. My wife got me a lovely DVD gift, but I'll be honest, 10-inch Mutant Ninja Turtles wasn't quite the film I thought it was going to be.
You loved it, don't lie. All I was going to say is my final thought, pretty simple. If you go to the shops over the next couple of days, just don't be a prick in the car parks. Seriously. Like, I went to the shops today, Liam, and I was stuck sitting in the car waiting for a parking spot for a good 15 minutes. I was in and out of the shops in 3. Shit show. So don't be a prick. Come on.
No.
Everyone's got places they'd rather be. Have a great Christmas, everyone. Look after yourselves. Enjoy your time with your family and friends. And come on the Celtic. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.